Welcome, everyone, to Tuesday Night Luke Live Online. I'm Father James DeLucio, and tonight's pericope is Luke chapter 9, verses 51 to 62, which is the conclusion of the chapter. Picking up right where we left off, Luke tells us this. When the days of his being taken up were fulfilled, he resolutely determined to journey to Jerusalem, and he sent messengers ahead of him. When they entered a Samaritan village, they were to prepare a reception for him there, but they would not welcome him because they knew the destination of his journey was Jerusalem. When the disciples, James and John, saw this, they asked, "Lord, do you want us to call down fire from heaven to consume them?" Jesus turned and rebuked them, and they continued on their journey. As they were proceeding on their journey, someone said to him, "I will follow you wherever you go." And Jesus answered him, "Foxes have dens, and birds of the air have their nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head." To another, Jesus said, "Follow me." But he replied, "Lord, let me first go and bury my father." To him, Jesus said, "Let the dead bury the dead. You go and proclaim the kingdom of God." And another said, "Lord, I will follow you, but first let me go and say farewell to my family at home." To him, Jesus said, "No one who sets a hand to the plow and looks at what was left behind is fit for the kingdom of God." The end of chapter 9. Well, what do you think of all that? Difficult sayings, very hard to fully comprehend. Even that first line, when the days of his being taken up were fulfilled, he resolutely determined to Jerusalem. In other words, the itinerant mission of his work, the preaching, is drawing to a close. Not fully fulfilled, though, because we have a lot more chapters. We have 23 more chapters, well, 22 before the Passion begins. So there's still a lot of teaching, but I think it's that sense of leaving the north, leaving the Galilee area. Everything there, he has accomplished what Jesus had wanted to accomplish. Going through the Samaritan village to prepare a reception, it's like Jesus deliberately chose to send the messengers there. He wanted to teach the disciples a lesson that even when people are hostile or can't welcome you, the Samaritans wouldn't want anybody going to Jerusalem. They wouldn't want to host them because of the great conflict between the Jews and the Samaritans. You know what that primarily was? That the Samaritans, they actually stayed in the area after the great expulsion of the Jews by Nebuchadnezzar. They never were part of the exile. So the whole prophetic tradition that starts with Isaiah and Jeremiah and Ezekiel and some of the major those are the major prophets, and the others, they didn't preserve. They didn't pay attention because most of those were directed to those in exile. So they didn't include it. And of course, then they felt, well, we're here. We worship here on our mountain. Recall the Samaritan woman in John's Gospel. So there's lots of hostility and lots of argument over who's doing what and who is right, which is so typical of human beings. And if we're humble to acknowledge it, it's those same kind of arguments that go on within our church and within other churches. This is not something exclusive to the people of old. So Jesus does that, and he rebukes them when they want revenge, when they're ready for a fight, because that's not what Jesus is about. So then as he continues, there are the three interlocutors. Two offer to follow Jesus, and the guy in the middle, Jesus says to follow him. So the first, Jesus is saying, you don't think this is going to be comfortable. Foxes have dens, and the birds of the air. There's a real commitment to following me. And I think as I get older, I recognize more and more there's a tension. There's a tension to the degree to which I and others and Christians everywhere keep negotiating the degree to which we're going to follow Jesus. And I think on a negative level, we start playing a lot of guilt trips. Again, because we're not putting this passage in conversation with other passages. So like, let your light shine. So, I mean, we all can't be Mother Teresa. We can't all be Pope Francis. So we have to recognize our limitations in terms of what we're called to. But we do have to give up things because there's only so much time in a day. And ideally, everything is to be centered on God and to Jesus, but that doesn't mean we're called to monasteries. It's that whatever we're doing has to have a consciousness that we're bringing Jesus in. We're bringing God into it. And joys and sorrows, favorite hobbies, especially a good sign that God is with us in these things is, are we open to welcoming others to be part of it? Is this something we want to share? Again, other passages, Jesus goes away in solitude. We need our solitude as well. Although from COVID, we've probably had enough of it. But even that, we are solitary and communal individuals. So, hey, when Jesus says this isn't easy, he's not kidding, because there's an awful lot of balance and dialogue and prayer alone, with God, with one another, with the church. Wow. Now, the other one, Jesus says, follow me, and he says, I want to bury my father. Jesus is seeing this as an excuse. It's not that Jesus doesn't want a proper burial. Funerals are so much part of every faith tradition. Jesus isn't saying enough of this. He's particularly relating to someone who said, well, I want to do something else first. But the other thing is, let the dead bury the dead. It's a powerful statement. At the heart of it is Jesus is saying, look, you're saying you want to do something first before you have your encounter with me or before you develop the relationship with me. Well, that's deadly. That's absolutely deadly. And why aren't you asking me to come with you? What is it? Let me go first and bury my father, opposed to, what about the woman who approaches, what about the woman who approaches Jesus to heal her? What about Jairus, who comes to him, please save my daughter, or the centurion, save my servant? This person isn't doing that. And then you wonder, has the father already died? Could Jesus have healed him? What's going on? So Jesus says, hey, this is deadly. If you want to be part of the dead, be part of the dead. But I'm about life. And you're not bringing me along with you, and you're putting me second to something else. So that's what's going on there. And in the third, if you put your hand to the plow and look back to what is left behind, well, the kingdom is at hand. You know, so much we have to live in the present. It's impossible not to have memories. It's impossible not to think of the good and the bad. That's how our brain works. That's how the mind works, to actually prepare us for new adventures and new challenges. If we don't remember the bad times, we might keep entering into them and letting people be bad to us time and time again. So you have to remember, but even the remembering is still open to the present. So it's a gift of wisdom that we use from the past, but not looking back to try and hold on to it. Hold on to the glory days, or hold on to the sorrows and the regrets. No. Jesus says the kingdom of God is at hand. So there's some things to ponder. I am going to be out next week. I am going to give a mission, a Luke Live mission. I haven't done this in 2 years because of COVID. I'm going to be in Prosser, Washington at Sacred Heart Church. I'll be doing Luke's chapter 6 through 11. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, yeah, 2 chapters each, including many of the things that we've been looking at now these past several weeks, although I'll add some songs. I haven't been doing songs lately for you, mostly because of time, but I'm getting my voice ready to sing some songs for those at the mission in Prosser, Washington. It's South Central Washington near Oregon, so I have nice little travel, and so say a prayer for me, please, that all goes well. So I'll see you in 2 weeks on Tuesday. There will be One Young at Heart this Friday, but not the following Friday. So God bless you. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a good night.